we know that we have a problem with vitamin B12, which we get majorly from animal sources of proteins. But this group can actually benefit from supplements, because they need these vitamins to be able to metabolize like the energy well, to be able to make sure that the anemia. For vegans also, we know that we say that we get majorly also vitamin D from the sunshine. But I said at this particular moment we find that people are indoors, they're not getting out there. And some of the sources of vitamin D, we may also get it from eggs, we may get it from milk, though in small amounts. Of course, the sun is the one that gives us most of these vitamins. So this vitamin may also be a bit of a challenge. So they may benefit from supplements of vitamin B12 and even vitamin D because of this, because this is very, very, very important for immunity and also for our bodies to be able to function properly. Okay, thank you for this question. One thing I'd like to say is that if we look at ginger, turmeric, other herbs like sage and all that, there are actually studies which have shown, especially like a lot of studies have been done on turmeric and on garlic. They find that they are inflammatory. And we know that when we get inflammation in our systems, this also affects our immune systems in a negative way. So it will be good to take your ginger, your garlic, and all that. That is good for immune system. And even when it comes to things like lemon is good because it's high in vitamin C, and not only lemon, even other fruits, because they are high in vitamins, especially vitamin C and vitamin A, which are also antioxidants, and they also help you fight, so they are missiles that you build in your body, so that if these infections come in terms of like maybe viruses, in terms of bacteria, your body has ammunition to be able to fight this, and that is why we need that. When it comes to honey is also good and has not been found to help in your immunity, but I'd like to put a disclaimer for honey. The main things about honey is that honey is actually sucrose. The main component in honey and sugar are the same as sucrose. It's just that honey is not like highly refined. So as you take honey, please make sure you don't overdo it, because as we said, too much of something is poisonous. Because when you take too much honey, then you will start having issues with also like inflammation, because we know that too much sugar, too much of the saturated fats, and even trans fats, these can actually also be, they can actually trigger inflammation and also lower your immunity. So you have to make sure that as you take the honey, please take it in moderation. So everything as we take, everything is actually in moderation. But it's good to take your honey, because when it comes to COVID-19, there are times when you have mild symptoms. So you may need to take in some, like maybe some ginger and honey, but not too much of it again. Yeah. So you can take in ginger and honey to soothe your throat, and maybe you have fevers here and there. That will also help you to get enough of the fluid that you need to be able to take care of the current situation, and even try to help you to be more comfortable in terms of fever, and maybe when your throat is having is inflamed and all those things. Yeah, so I hope that I've been able to answer that question, Dr.
Thank you so much for the questions. I apologize to viewers, I understand my mic was off, but we are back on again. And Dr. Betty was actually answering the question about whether to be vegan or not to be vegan in terms of improving our immunity. And she did mention that the challenge of being vegan is the vitamin B12 deficiency, which can also be taken care of if the vegan person begins to take some milk. I apologize for that. Some milk and some eggs. So really, you don't have to take meat. I believe Dr. Betty said from the Bible and from what she knows in terms of nutrition, being vegetarian is probably the best kind of diet. However, it is important to also take it in moderation. Turmeric, ginger, lime, lemon, honey is good, but all these things, even a vegetarian diet, is best in moderation, so that we do not over-nutritionize ourselves, if there's a word like that. Okay, now over to you, Dr. Misati. And you have a number of questions that have come through, and the question, reading the first question is, how do parents and families deal with members of, how can we deal with members of families that have mental challenges amidst the social distances? You know, there's also like the autistic child, or even a friend who has an anxiety disorder. How can we, as parents and families, deal with such individuals?
Thank you so much for that question. That is very important. I want to say that within the same family, under the same roof, that is the household, who haven't been exposed, who have been observing social distance, you don't need to keep distance. Okay, let me explain that again. If you're within the same family and you have not been exposed, okay, you have been keeping social distance when you go out, you've been wearing your masks and sanitizing, please, this is not an excuse to socially distance. I saw in social media somebody saying that one of their partners, the wife told the husband, we are social distancing. So she moved from the marital bed and she went to sleep elsewhere, social distancing. That's an excuse. So I'm saying within the same family, take care of the people who are challenged. Children, you don't leave a child because of social distancing. You're not holding, you're not breastfeeding. Okay? So we talk about social distancing socially, outside. You know, outside your household, the neighbors and the people elsewhere. Yeah, so another thing that I would like to add is that what are the interventions? In case you notice that one of your family members is getting mentally challenged, and you can tell by a few things, let me just mention them. If somebody is sleeping less or more, they used to sleep 7 to 8 hours, they are now sleeping 2 to 3 hours, they are up, or they are oversleeping. Dr. Timothy gave us a guideline. They are oversleeping 10, 12, 15 hours, night and day they are asleep. That person is not okay. Another thing, if they are eating too much or they are eating too little. Because we are not keeping social distance at home, I know we would know how much the person has been eating. If they want to isolate themselves for too long, they don't want to interact, they don't want to socialize, to talk, or if they are not taking care of themselves, normally, they would come, they have not brushed their teeth, the hair is not combed, the clothes are not clean, you can tell that this person is not okay. If they are negative, their talk, their behavior is negative, or I can call it toxic, then you notice somebody has a challenge. What can you do? Talk therapy. Allow them to talk. When they are telling you what they are going through, don't be quick to jump in and say, it is well, it shall be well. How? Let them talk and ventilate, because when they ventilate, they let it out of themselves. Then another thing you can do is cognitive behavior therapy. Challenge the thought. If they are telling you, I feel so hopeless, I don't know about tomorrow, who holds tomorrow? And who holds you? It is the Lord who knows about tomorrow. So challenge that thought. Then they can begin to look at it positively. Nutritional interventions. Provide a healthy meal. Don't give a lot of sugars, and I think we have learned nutrition, healthy food to boost their feel-good hormones. Another thing, and I'm saying this is the last one very carefully. If somebody has gotten to a state of you feel you have tried all this, they are not getting well, you can give medication very carefully to alleviate the symptoms. If it's so bad, like they can't sleep, they can't eat, for a very short time, as you look at the root cause, as you deal with the root cause and as we equip them with the emotional strength or the resilience to cope. So medication, very carefully as we deal with the root cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Misati. And there is a question that actually links to what you have just been talking. And somebody is, Sandra Karimi is mentioning about your morning sermon. How can one know when it's all in the mind and when they actually need help? You talked about help, psychosocial help, right through down the spectrum to medical help. So how can one know when it's all in the mind and when they actually need help?
One can know when the same thought keeps on coming. The same thought keeps on coming. We all go through stress, we all make mistakes, and we all think about the future because that is to be normal, that is to be healthy. But if the same thought process keeps coming, and if more times, I mentioned this earlier, if you find that most of the time you are sad than happy, there's a problem. If most of the time you are enduring life other than enjoying life, there is a problem. Most of the time we need to be enjoying life and we don't need to be fixated on the same thought. Another thing is that when you have the benefit of social relationships, close and healthy relationships, they can tell you. Somebody can look at you one morning, they say, hey, you're dressed today. Today, how are you looking? You know, somebody can point out, because sometimes, especially when you're tipping, you may not be able to tell. But a family member, a friend can be able to tell you. So let's nurture friendships when we are well, because the friendships will come through to us when we can't hold it together.
Okay, thank you, Daktari. That was, I think, well answered. Back over to Dr. Betty. You encourage water intake. I know we are encouraged to take it warm during this time of COVID-19. What is your take on this? How about if I just take adequate water but cold? And tell us also whether, from what somebody understands here, whether being vegan is not safe at all.
I know, I'm sure this pastor basic is very federation of people receive others. If you want to lose weight, take hot water. I think there's no scientific basis for that. So some people like warm water, some people like cold water. I didn't take it the way you like it, yeah? I can't tell you that you take warm water, or take cold water, take what you have from it, yeah? Because it goes to the body. I mean, the body does its own work. There's no way that if you take cold water, it's going to make your stomach to be cold and stuff like that. And the other question, if I got it right, they asked whether being vegan is okay. It's completely fine. Actually, studies have shown that vegetarianism, people who are vegetarians are more healthy. They live longer than people who actually take animal products and meats. And especially meat, they are very high in saturated fat. And this one is inflammatory in nature. And you know that inflammation is something, it's the root cause of many of these chronic diseases like heart diseases, diabetes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We're having a slight problem with your mic, but we'll get back to you. Thank you so much, panelists. We will continue to look to see what our viewers are saying and want to hear from you. And they do appreciate, I must say, Betty Gabantu, they do appreciate and are really with you when you say trusting in God is the way to go about it. That's the way and to go about it. And they believe that it is so sweet. Sandra Karemi says it is so sweet to trust in Jesus. Very, very sweet to trust in Jesus. And so total trust, Lorna Nyamoya says total trust in God is indeed the solution. Now, just over back to you, Dr. Misati. Phineas Munene wants to know about university students, because most university students are out there, they haven't finished or they were about to finish this year and are really, really stressed. How can they manage such stress?
Thank you so much. And that's a real concern for the university students, for the students who are going to sit their form for exam, KCSE and even KCP. I know it, I can feel it. My daughter is one of them. But I want to say that we need to keep reminding ourselves that the Lord is the one who is holding tomorrow. Let's look at the bigger picture. We may be rushing saying we want to finish and we want to do A, B, C, D, but we don't know what the Lord has in store for us. Sometimes, just sometimes, a delay in something is because there's something bigger that the Lord is preparing for us. So for me, I would like to say that we need to acknowledge anxiety is real. But then we need to say, by worrying about this, I'm only going to make the situation worse. I will get sick. If I get sick, then I will not even enjoy that future that I'm aiming towards. And so we need to look at the bigger picture. And even during this time, there is a lot that we can do. There is somebody who told me that the daughter is in university, and every time there is a strike or there is a period that they don't go to university, she's so happy because she opened her eyes and realized, I can do ABC so that I can be equipped with life skills. So perhaps we are being trained for endurance, for resilience, because endurance you develop now is going to help you in the future. So keep looking. One who knows about tomorrow. We don't know.
From my own experience as well, we were 1 month to doing exams. We're just about to start exams, and here we are, first year, and we are also worried. And then the coup started. It happened, and we were out for a whole entire year. And in that 1 year, we began to learn other skills, computer skills, which we never had before. And so it is an opportunity, viewers, to take to look elsewhere and see what other skill could I have and can I bring in this moment, in this time, and knowing that stress will paralyze. But when we look elsewhere, knowing that God is totally in control, trusting in God, and just like Betty said, from Isaiah 26 verse 3, when our minds are stayed on Him, He gives us perfect peace of mind. We want to just go back to Betty Kiage. Because now actually get you to repeat one or two things, because your mic was also not doing too well, but we are back on track. And so thank you, viewers, for keeping on track and keeping with us. Stay and hang in there. Don't touch that dial, as they say in the communication world. Dr. Betty, back to you about water intake. Should we take it warm or should we take it cold?
Thank you so much. I would just like to repeat that I was thinking that whoever was asking this question was going in the direction of whereby people are misleading others that if you want to lose weight, take hot water. And I say that there's no scientific basis for that. And I say that it doesn't matter whether taking cold water or hot water. It is all depends on what you prefer to do. Please take water, whether it is warm or hot. It is okay. There's no problem with that. And the other question is about vegetarian, being a vegan, whether it is good or bad. Being vegan is perfectly fine. But I say that as you're being vegan, please make sure that you take care of your vitamin B12. Okay, that is very important. But studies have actually shown that being vegetarians have a longer life than people who eat meat. And I was actually talking about meat being very full of saturated fats, which are inflammatory in nature. And we know that a lot of chronic diseases that we have right now, look at heart diseases, look at diabetes and all that, they have an inflammatory component with it. So if you can be vegan, well and good, that's the best lifestyle. But as you're also doing that, we have to make sure that everything must be done in moderation. And as you're being a vegan, also make sure that you exercise well, you manage your stress well, the way Dr. has said, and you make sure that you have enough sunshine, you have enough rest, then I think you will live a very healthy lifestyle. Thank you.
Okay, one more last question for you, Betty. Tell us about neem. Is there any medicinal value to it? Are there any studies around it? Would it help in this era of COVID?
Thank you so much for that. One thing I like to say is that COVID is very new. It just came into the limelight in December last year. So even whatever studies that we are having right now, we don't really have conclusive answers to this thing. But as it is right now, we don't have any studies showing that neem can actually cure COVID-19. So all I can say, please make sure that you eat healthily, make sure that you boost your immunity so that you have ammunitions to be able to fight this virus and any of these viruses that come across to us. But you can just take neem as a herb or anything like that, but please make sure that you don't go saying that neem treats COVID, because as it is right now, we don't have any studies that actually tell us that neem can treat COVID-19.
Okay, thank you. And finally to Dr. Abuya, what do you make of the lower numbers of infections and the deaths that are due to COVID-19 in Africa? Anything in your research that will answer this question as compared to other regions across the globe? And then finally, as you I would like you to tie in with donated materials and clothes that may be given to those who are needy at this time. How long does the virus stay on these materials so that they too can be careful not to get contract COVID from donated materials?
Thank you very much, Bio, for your questions, and this is interesting. As Betty said, there's very little knowledge we have today about COVID, and the first question is about, maybe I go to the second, about donations. Very little information is available now about how long the virus can stay on various surfaces. A few studies have been done in the most recent past with varying results. I think the most important and fundamental principle is sanitize. Sanitize, sanitize. Even if you donate things to other people, please ensure that you protect them. Obey the basic public health principles that are being told out there. Ensure you sanitize, ensure that the clothes, the materials, I see people sell masks on the streets. Please ensure that you protect those ones you're selling these masks to. So that's a very important principle. I think the first question you said, why are we having fewer numbers in Africa? There are a number of factors probably we could attribute this to. First, we do know that we in Africa, for example, there are not many countries are able to do mass testing. We are doing a lot of targeted testing, and so the numbers we have currently are based on the cases that are being tested. So we actually we may not have a conclusive evidence to suggest that maybe in Africa we have fewer numbers, perhaps because our immune system is stronger or other factors. What Dr. Misai talked about, our innate immunity. But I think it's important to allay fears of everyone out there that we need to practice the basic public health interventions all the time. Number two, these numbers may only represent a small fraction of people who may have had interactions with others who've had the COVID virus. And that basically means their body has succumbed to some form of infection, perhaps depending on their genetic makeup or perhaps due to their immune response. But I think the most important thing to know is that let us not celebrate yet. Let us not say, Africa, we are strong enough. We don't know yet, because the numbers that we have there are based on the tested cases. So let's hold our horses, eat well, stay positive, have a strong positive outlook to life, trust in God, and hope that everything will be fine.
Dr. Abuya, we really appreciate your answer, and I believe you're correct, because at the end of the day, whether we are really still watching this space, isn't it? We have seen some of the numbers go up in Africa, but we're still watching this space. Let's continue to pray, ladies and gentlemen, and my brothers and sisters, for this country, for Africa, when it comes to the numbers, so that we really, the Lord has mercy on us, and the numbers don't go any higher than they are. We just want to encourage you to keep in prayer with the prayer warriors, Betty, Gabantu, and all of us. I really must, as we coming to an end, and we are winding up now, our time is fast spent. However, I do want to encourage, we have some encouragement from Lily Kidayo. She says, thank you so much, Dr. Misati, for that response about university students. I am one. And I am one of them, and you have just enlightened me and helped me to get hope in the midst of all this. And then we also have others saying, Betty Gabantu, thank you, and I really